what are the best Quest 2 games that have launched on the platform since it released last October. Let's check it out right now. We might as well get one of the most popular games of this platform out of the way first, and that is Population 1. Population 1 is a battle royale style game, totally in virtual reality, and it is tons of fun to play. They've added so much content to this game, and even more is being added, with this week getting Season 2 for Population 1, which adds in a Western theme, from climbing to gliding to working as a team to take out other squads. There's so much going on in this game. The only thing missing so far is singles to be able to play. Everyone's been clamoring for singles for a while. Currently, they have a couple different game modes, but mostly it's built around squads of 3 people. So if you have not played it yet and you love Battle Royale or first-person shooter type games, this is an absolute must-have. Next up, we've got Contractors, which is a first-person online shooter as well. Contractors is like the Call of Duty of the Quest platform, with fast and semi-unrealistic gunplay where you'll be jumping around, firing at the enemies. You can play in multiple different game modes. There's even a bot mode you can play with missions with friends in co-op. It's got a ton of content, with more being added. It's not the prettiest game in the world on the Quest by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a ton of fun to play if you love FPS games. And in my opinion, it's one of the best first-person shooters online on the platform, just because of how fast-paced, frantic, and fun the gameplay is. I decided to bunch them all together, so here is the next first-person shooter that is the best on the platform that's launched on Quest 2, and that is Hyperdash. If you have not played this game, it's got some really awesome mechanics like rail grinding, quick teleportation, the guns are fun, it's fast-paced, extremely fast-paced. There's multiple game modes. It's even got support for bHaptics, which makes it even better if you have any of the bHaptics products. Plus, it has experimental 120 Hz support, which just brings this to another level entirely. If you have not tried Hyperdash, or if you don't have any other first-person shooters and you like the art style for this game, or you want some really fast-paced and crazy gameplay for an FPS online, Hyperdash is definitely something you need to check out. This next one on the list, some people might not agree with me on. In fact, there's a couple on this list that some people might not agree with me on, but Jurassic World Aftermath is on my list of best because I am a massive Jurassic Park and Jurassic World fan, and I love the art style of this game. It's essentially playing Alien Isolation with dinosaurs. It is on the shorter side than I would like, at just a couple of hours, I believe, of gameplay. I can't remember how long it was. It's been a while since I beat it, but it's still a massive amount of fun. There is more content coming in the future to add to this game. I'm not sure about free or paid, but it is really a blast to play. If you love dinosaurs, if you love this type of game, if you love the Jurassic Park / World movies, if you just want to get chased by a raptor. That part at the beginning where you see the T-Rex is pretty overwhelming and pretty awesome, so I definitely recommend getting this game if you don't mind running through a facility, hiding under desks, and getting eaten by a raptor many times trying to escape. This next one is kind of a sleeper hit for me. It's one that not a lot of people talk about, but I think is one of the coolest games to come out since the Quest 2 launched, and that is Crashland. This is kind of a wave-based shooter in many ways, but it's not a standstill wave-based shooter. You actually get to move around a large area on different planets. What happens is you crash on different planets and you have to survive against the enemies until you are rescued. There are many different worlds to fight on, many different aliens, including some creepy worlds that take place at night that are absolutely terrifying. The game is freaking hard depending on what setting you put it on. In fact, it was hard enough that I believe just recently they added an easier mode that was easier than the most easy mode, just so people could actually play and beat the game. The gunplay is fun. Visually, this thing's fantastic too. For the Quest 2, it's one of the better looking games that I've seen on the platform, and the enemies are freaking creepy a lot of the time. So if you're looking for something that you can mindlessly play that's just fun, and you don't have to worry about long play sessions because these play sessions that you jump into for Worlds are not too long, then I think this is a really cool option, and it's one that not a lot of people are talking about. Next up is a game that I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed, and that is Zombieland Headshot Fever. Now, before you run away, visually this game is not fantastic, and it does seem simple in its gameplay as it's an on-rails zombie shooter, but the hook for this game is the competitive nature and trying to beat your own score and everyone else's. This game is all about time. In fact, you can actually beat these levels in 20 to 30 seconds or less if you get really good. Time is all about headshots, hence the headshot fever. So what you got to do is double tap the heads of zombies to stop the clock. The more double tap headshots you get, the less time, and it becomes a game of memorization and of steady aim, and it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. So if you haven't checked it out, then I definitely recommend looking into it. Let's stick with the zombie theme for a minute and jump over to The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. This launched on PC VR in the beginning of 2020, and it launched with the Quest 2 actually on launch day. This is one of the best, in my opinion, still story games on the Quest. It is such an awesome, very long game in comparison to most games on the Quest platform, coming in around 15 to 16 hours, I think, depending on how long it takes you to do all the quests. Overall, this is one of the best built games for the Quest, as it takes everything the PC version does and brings it over to a mobile platform. Even if it visually doesn't look as good, it functions just as good, which is insane and blows my mind every time I think about it. All right, let's talk some puzzle games. This game just came out a little while ago, and it's really a lot more hard than I thought it was going to be. Floor Plan 2, the sequel, obviously, to Floor Plan 1, is out on Quest and Quest 2, and it is a really creative, difficult, fun, friendly, it's just a good game to play if you enjoy wacky, weird stuff. The puzzles are quite difficult, so get ready to rack your brain or look up how-tos and walkthroughs to try to get through some of these steps for these puzzles. But as you take the elevator to try to solve all of these floor plan puzzles, it's way more fun than I thought, even if it's extremely hard. Talk about hard, Floor Plan 2 has got nothing on Myst. Myst is still one of the hardest puzzle games that I've ever played in my life, and in VR, it's not any easier. This is the classic Myst game by Cyan that everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people know and love from years ago, including myself, and it translates into virtual reality really well if you love the game. There are some things with it that I don't necessarily like some of the stuff with the hands. When you interact with objects, they turn to circles or spheres, but overall, the puzzles are intact, the game is there, and if you enjoyed the original Myst game, then you're going to get a ton of nostalgia playing this game and trying to remember what you did when you played it on PC many years ago. All right, here we have another game that I think was way better than I expected it to be. In fact, I really enjoyed playing this game, and that is Cosmodread. Now, as not someone that's a fan of horror games, I was surprised at how much I kept jumping back into this game and playing it. Cosmodread is a roguelike game where you are on a spaceship trying to escape. You try to stay alive with limited ammo and limited oxygen. Now, the point of this game is to play through as far as you can get and collect modules so that you can build them. And as you get more, it saves every time you die. So the next time you go through, you might have the ability to craft a pistol or to craft ammo or whatever you're going to craft. So as you play through the game, the goal is to discover as many of those as possible. Now, I spent a long time on a few runs trying to get through the game, and I got extraordinarily close many times. I still have yet to beat the game as I just haven't had time, but I've gotten close so many times I can taste it, and as you play through, it's frustratingly awesome to get to the end, to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then realize you're not going to make it when you're surrounded by enemies and you've taken a wrong turn. Needless to say, this game will keep you coming back if you love roguelike games, or even if you just love horror, or even if you just want something challenging to play. It's a lot of fun. All right, next on the list, we've got Wraith, the Oblivion Afterlife. Now, this game is a story-based horror game based around the World of Darkness IP. Story-based horror games are pretty far and few between in virtual reality on the Quest anyways, and even though there are some horror-based games, most of them don't have a specific storyline. Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife is unique in that it is a longer campaign story where you're going to try to discover what happened in the Barclay Mansion and how you died, why you died, and what the heck is going on. And you're going to have to deal with specters as you go through the mansion. This is not your traditional horror mansion where it's old and dilapidated. This is a Hollywood Hills mansion. You'll get to explore, discover exactly what the heck is going on. There are some pretty good jump scares in this. It's a really freaking creepy game. So if you love story-based horror games, this is the best on the Quest platform, in my opinion. In fact, it's one of the very few that actually tells a good story, and it's horror. Plus, it's got great voice acting, it's got scares, and it's overall just a really good experience. Next up, in my opinion, is one of the best games of 2021, if not the best so far, and that is Demeo, or Demeo. I'm not really sure which way you're supposed to pronounce it, so I'm going to call it Demeo. Demeo is essentially a Dungeons & Dragons style tabletop game in virtual reality, and it does what it does extremely well. It's a lot of fun to play with friends. In fact, if you can get 3 other people to play with you, because you can have up to 4 people, then you could spend a long time, like headset battery killing time, in this game trying to get through the dungeons. It's got cards, it's got dice, it's got your mom's basement. It's just a lot of fun to play, and they've got free expansions coming out as well for this game. In fact, there's another one coming out this summer. So if you're a fan of tabletop RPGs or Dungeons & Dragons, or heck, even Stranger Things, and you've wanted to experiment with some tabletop gameplay ever since watching the show, then this is a great way to do it, and you don't even have to leave your home or get out of your pajamas. All right, now is another game that I think personally is one of my favorites, although it's not a super action-oriented game, and that is Star Wars Pinball VR. This is all about collecting. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a collector, or if you love pinball, this game is so much fun. This game has so many different Star Wars items to collect, it's not even funny. As you collect them, you can put them up in your fan cave and decorate the way you want. It's got several awesome tables, from The Mandalorian to classic Star Wars to even Star Wars Rebels, and there's so many things to collect. It'll keep you busy going through what they call the campaign mode, beating tables, beating scores, and trying to collect all the different songs for the R2-D2 jukebox, all the different helmets, all the different statues, and all the different posters. There's just a lot going on, and if you're a Star Wars fan or Star Wars nerd, then you're going to love it. Now, I've included this other Star Wars game on the list because I will be the first to admit that I am a massive Star Wars nerd, and I love everything Star Wars. Not everyone loved this game, but Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge personally was a great way to jump into the Star Wars universe. From a gameplay standpoint, it was pretty simple, and there were some weird things going on at some times, and visually it wasn't fantastic, but it allows you to jump to Batuu and experience the Star Wars universe from a totally different perspective. The main part of the gameplay doesn't have any lightsabers, but there is a story where you actually get to meet Yoda, which is a pretty cool short story. The game is on the shorter end, and it is only a portion of the game. Unfortunately, as they're going to be adding DLC to the game, I don't know what it's going to cost for that, what's going to happen with it, but it's supposedly coming in the near future. But if you're a Star Wars fan and you've already played Vader Immortal, all 3 parts, then this is something to extend that Star Wars interest into virtual reality as well. Another game that just kind of came out of nowhere, well, not really out of nowhere, people have been talking about it for a while, but this game is Swarm. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I think this is probably one of the most creative and fun mechanic games on the Quest, but it's not my favorite in that I can't spend a lot of time in it. I don't know what it is, but I do a few runs and I get frustrated, or I do a few times and then I just lose interest in it. That's just my personal preference. I've been told by so many people that I'm wrong about that, so I had to include the game on the list, as it's one of the highest rated games on the Quest store. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun as you swing your way around the map, blasting an arcade style gameplay, hitting all the enemies, beating the bosses. It's like jumping into a virtual reality arcade game, or becoming the Bionic Commando and swinging around in this little arena area and firing at these different enemies. It is tons of fun. Just for whatever reason, it doesn't hold my specific captive attention for long periods of time. Jumping in for short periods, sure, but for some reason it just doesn't hold my attention for a long time, but I'm like the only one that thinks that for some reason. So if the game looks fun to you, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely awesome. Next up on the list is, in my opinion, not just one of the best games since the launch of the Quest 2, but the best hand tracking game on the Quest period, and that is Hand Physics Lab. Now, this is not so much a game, although there is a series of puzzles, quite a few that you can play through to unlock different areas of this game. This is more about experimentation, and it's like a giant tech demo for hand tracking. You can pet a cat, you can pick up and stack blocks, you can fire a gun, you can use the force to throw little bouncy balls at dummies. I mean, there's just a lot going on in this game, a lot more than I can even describe, plus updates coming in the future for this game with more things you can do, and the developer of this game is just an awesome person and incredibly talented at getting the hand tracking to work. He's got new stuff coming I've seen in videos, and it just looks even more fantastic. So if you want something to play around with hand tracking, Hand Physics Lab is one of the coolest ways to do it, and it's a great way to show new people what hand tracking can do by just having them jump in and literally using their physical hands to move stuff around. There we go. Those are, in my opinion, the best Quest 2 games that have launched on the platform since the Quest 2 released last October. What do you think of my list? Is it missing anything? Let me know what your favorite games are down in the comments. Plus, if you want to get the most out of your Quest and your Quest 2, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there and the bell icon for notifications. Plus, you can check out even more of my videos right over there. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and happy questing.